Don't expect lower prices because the Supreme Court cut the tariffs.
Huh?
What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, February the 22nd. And of course, here we are. The Supreme Court ruled on Friday and said the tariffs were no good. So what did President Trump do? He immediately put into effect, which he can do, a 10% tariff across the board. He can go higher, and I think he will. I think this is just a little bit of a setback, but I think the bigger story and the bigger bullshit is that you think your prices are going to come lower. You think you're going to save money because of the no tariffs. Well, let's talk about a number of chains that get involved in prices through commodities, and of course their prices rise, and for some reason those prices never come down. Starbucks being one of them. The stores that have got these prices that complained and whined about the tariffs are not going to lower their prices. They're going to, they may be a few cents, but they're going to make more money. Their spread's going to be bigger. So this is just another crock that we get to deal with, and that of course we, the taxpayer, we the American people, get fucked because these stores and chains aren't ever going to give you a break. It's all about the profit. It's all about the bottom line. And all of this nonsense that was put out there is going to be, you aren't getting cheaper pricing. That's really going to be the bottom line. You watch, you'll see it. Your prices are not coming down. Certainly on some goods you might see some slightly lower, but they will not come back to where they were. So some of these places will get refunds to the corporation, but you will not see the change. And I think that's the bigger problem, that we continue to get sucked into this crap of what goes on. You look at the overall picture, and the tariffs were not that bad, and now you have the experts saying, well, no, maybe we won't have a recession. Well, recession wasn't due or wouldn't have been due to tariffs. Recession is due to the massive amount of debt that Americans have taken on and continue to go. We are seeing record numbers of credit card defaults, auto loan defaults, housing, mortgage rate defaults, the people not paying their rent. So again, all of this is nonsense. And of course, we have to continue to buy into the bullshit. But of course, we have the tariff changes, which are not going to end up changing when it's all said and done. Inflation fears plummet. Really? Did your fears of inflation go away? And especially now that crude oil is back on the rise with the tension in the Middle East? I don't think so. I think that again, another spewing, another crock of crap that is being brought to you by your leaders, your legislators, and telling you how good things are. The GDP slowed dramatically in the fourth quarter. And of course, it was blamed on weather, which the weather wasn't that bad until the cold snap. It's being blamed on the government shutdown. How about blaming it on what it really is about is that we have a very weak economy. We have very few people that can support this economy. When you're in a K-shaped design, you are at the real risk of stagflation. The massive amount of job losses and the job losses to come. Okay, this is the thing that everybody keeps forgetting about. But of course, we always wait until it's too late before we become concerned about the problems that are out there. Okay. Uh, the trade deficit surges in December. Full year deficit sets record new high. Now, again, we heard that our deficit was much lower. Well, of course, it's not much lower. Okay. Again, somebody asked me during the week about the government reports. I said, I don't ever believe a government report because they're always bullshit. Okay. Think about it. You get a report, and a week, a month, or later, it's revised. And this, for example, goes to the jobs, which for the third year in a row, after the jobs they showed us that were created were reduced dramatically at the end of the year. Okay, is actually how many they actually created. So you can buy into the bullshit, you can buy into the garbage, but the truth of the matter is that it's exactly what I said. It's just bullshit. Government reports are lies that we are told, whether to push markets in one direction or the other. It has nothing to do with it. It's the same as the bullshit earnings reports that we get from our companies out there, which is why the earnings reports are ridiculous in their own right. Uh, AI content incidents skyrocket, a growing threat in the digital age. And of course, you've seen that AI can mimic voices. It can do a lot of things. So it brings out to light, as always, for something new, a lot more scams, a lot more stealing, a lot more, especially to the people that can afford it the least. And again, listen, I'm not against AI. I just don't think we're prepared for the amount of usage. And of course, the jobs that are being lost due to AI is going to continue to increase as many management jobs will be eliminated. But what about law and order in this country? Are you not concerned? You have students in schools chanting "fuck ICE," okay, in a classroom presentation. I mean, I don't know about you, but ICE is a government organization. Not that I'm a fan of government organizations, but it's a law and order. It is enforcing the laws that are on the books. These are not new laws. Look at all the criminality going on in Minneapolis. Look at what's going on in Seattle. Look what's going on in Chicago. And yet, those are the places that are fighting against ICE the most. Doesn't that tell you something that there's more of a problem? But again, anybody who would fight against law and order should be arrested on their own. I mean, this is something that, again, we are a country of laws. We are not, and well, maybe we are. Maybe we're not a country of laws anymore. But again, I think that this is something that needs to be accounted for. Okay. Again, it's the same as we were promised we would have accountability for the deep state. Well, obviously the deep state is very much involved in a lot of these protests, a lot of this manipulation, trying to control government. And again, I would put the Federal Reserve, the cabal or the cartel of the Federal Reserve in that same light. Okay. I mean, the Federal Reserve is not there to help American people. It is there for the banks. It is to allow the banks to make and grab more money from the people. Okay. And I would say that if you look back at when it was initiated, either Woodrow Wilson was in on it or he was too dumb to see the con game or the shell game that was going on right in front of his face. Okay. So you think about it, but the interest rates have not helped you. The rate cuts have not helped you. And if you go back and look at what the Fed has done over even the last 50 years, they have created bubble after bubble and destroyed the dollar and wealth to the masses. The few at the upper end have thrived. Okay. Uh, don't expect lower prices. Again, we have a massive illiquid loan. Somebody's going to have to pay for all that. Again, this is not something that goes away. This is something that has to be continually paid for. Uh, we've got high PCE means Americans are still spending more than they're making, massive defaults, but yet a market continues to go higher. Now, again, I'm not telling the market should go down. I will never tell you that I'm an investor. I'm a long-term investor. I'm always hedged. But again, I think we have to look at it for what it is, and we continue to ignore the warning signs in this country. And at some point, there's going to be hell to pay. And everybody will go, well, what happened? And they're going to look to blame it on somebody. But the people to blame it on will be your own self because they're sending you warning sign after warning sign after warning sign. Think about that as you look and you watch and you see what's going on. And this is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, February 22nd. We're going to stop out here for a break. We'll be back with our market report right after the break. Well, kids, what's up? Hope you had a great week. It was a short week, holiday week, but as you know, we have sponsors to the program, and they are brokerage partners for the most part. And again, I do have other brokers, just to give you full disclosure. But of course, Trader Brokerage, who now also can do futures, not options and equities, but futures for the Canada, for the UK, for Australia. If you have trouble getting in, send me an email. I will take care of you. I'll get you hooked up. But again, they're $10 a month flat for equities for us. They save me over $100,000 a year. All of our automation works through Tradier. So you want to check them out, please do. It's on the bottom as you read here. And of course, Capital Trading Group. We got brand new products coming out. In fact, starting this week, Gap Hunter for our letter of direction traders. But they're great with customer service. They're great people to deal with. They actually answer the phone when you call. Check it out, Capital Trading Group, and of course, The Joy of Mom, which is a great site and a great place for moms and of all types to try to get answers, questions for whatever you need. So really check it out. And of course, our high school program where we try to educate our youth. I mean, again, and this is another problem in this country, is it's hard because people don't want to teach the program because it's too hard for them. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horwitz. We're going to get back to our Bubba's Bottom Line and our market report right now. Welcome back. Bubba's Bottom Line, Sunday, February the 22nd. And of course, markets had a somewhat wild week. It was quiet, but somewhat wild. But at the end of the day, what did they do? They did nothing. They were relatively unchanged. Once again, we had another Friday rally. Okay. But relatively unchanged for the markets. The markets are still deeply entrenched in consolidation. The markets are still very, very slow. And we're still being sold the bill of goods of how good the economy is. And I keep warning you that things are not as good as they appear because they're really not that good. And for most, they don't appear good at all. But again, you can continue to invest. And I'm not saying not invest. I'm saying be prepared for what does happen. Be hedged, be protected. But at the end of the day, again, we don't predict markets. They are in consolidation. There certainly wasn't any damage done last week. You have a situation. You have a market that is sending one warning sign after another from the PCE, from the debt, from the defaults. Again, are we going to continue to ignore them? And yes, we will. That's always the case. But the equities, for the most part, were pretty much flat. Flat to slightly higher for the week. The dollar, we did reach our 98 target and sold out. And now looking for a pullback to 96 once again. We'll see what happens. And right now we have no position. The euro currency, we're still short and had again, it wasn't a crazy week. Bonds and notes are at those levels that we have sold. Once again, we expect the bond futures and the 10-year note futures to go lower, which means interest rates are going higher. Bitcoin continues to struggle. It's still stuck on a range. I would expect it to, I wouldn't be surprised if it hits 60,000 again. Right now, we're stuck between 60 and 70. The metals, basically, they had a nice week, but relatively ended up where they were last week. So once again, we have a consolidating market which says we're going to break out one way or the other. Which way? I don't know. Okay. Certainly in the metals, I would expect the break to come higher. But the longer it extends in this consolidation, I think the better it's going to be. Copper continues to churn also in consolidation at the lower end of its band. I wouldn't be surprised if copper broke one more time over $6. We'll see how that plays out. Grain markets were wheat was pretty strong last week. Corn was flat, and soybeans broke out. So wheat and soybeans have both broken out, and I think corn is next. We're long grains, and I think grains are going a lot higher now. I think we're going to see some new money come there. The cattle markets and the hog markets continue to vacillate with not much to do, but up near all-time highs. I would think that again we're going to start to see some issues there. Nat gas came down, and again, we were long nat gas. It came down underneath $3, and now is back around at 305 level. And crude oil, which we did sell at 66. Now, again, we are selling it in the face of trouble, but I think the markets have already presented that. So we'll see how that works out. At the end of the day, volume is light. It's a challenge, and I think you just have to be careful in here. Again, I'm not telling you to change your direction. I'm telling you to get short. Again, the markets themselves look fine. I think it's just an issue as to that they're ignoring of what's going on will cause a much bigger problem later. Again, remember, debt is not good. Default is not good. And I think that will have its effect. And I don't think it's that far away. I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. But again, we're not going to do anything until we'll have plenty of time to react and put ourselves in position. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line, top of Horowitz. We're going to step out here for a break. We'll come back with our commentary. Well, kids, just a quick reminder of our sponsors, Trader Brokerage, Capital Trading Group, The Joy of Mom, our high school program, all scrolling on the bottom. Check them out. And let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, Todd Bubba Horowitz, and my commentary. Welcome back. Bubba's Bottom Line, Sunday, February 22nd. Well, I don't know. We're talking midterms already. We're talking all this bullshit. And, I'm tired of it. Tired of we have a broken down government. We have, whether you be a Republican or Democrat, it doesn't really matter. We have too many criminals on both sides taking advantage of the system. I think it's time that we as voters, we as Americans, step up and make our feelings known. And I think one of your feelings should be that we need to get term limits on on all offices, not just the president. There are 20 states that are trying to install that now, and we have to get to 39, but I think that that is something that is more important. I think we have to weed out the trash of the politicians. And again, it doesn't matter which side, but for some reason, somebody goes into office with moderate wealth and comes out with extreme wealth. I mean, you don't get that extreme wealth on your salary making 190 or $200,000 a year. I think the entire system is broken down. I think we are so far from the organization of what the Constitution says, which is government is run city, county, state, and the federal government is an overseer. That is not indeed the case anymore. But I do believe that we need to really step up as voters and get into term limits for all offices, because if not, we're going to continue in the same drudgery of creating massive amounts of debt that your kids are going to have to pay for, because I don't think they're creating a good environment for future generations. There are too many changes that need to be made, but because of votes and because of everything else, we don't get them. So again, it's something to think about. You might have thought about it before, but we really have to look for people to make change and quit voting for the same old bullshit that we always vote for. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, and have a great day, everybody. Have a great weekend. As always, I thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow with Bubba's Day Update, and of course, next Sunday with Bubba's Bottom Line.